most exciting part. Let's see how to create the glossy X comes out in the end. It's actually, if you're thinking you're gonna use HDRI images to get that lighting something, well, you may get something like that, but I should remind you, HDRIs are generally used for natural and really, I mean, what do you say? Really natural environment kind of lighting. They don't really give you exaggerated look. If you see in the video, the X has really exaggerated reflections. It's not really, you don't see such reflections in real life. So there's a special kind of shader to do that, to get those reflections. We'll see it in a minute. So first of all, let me create a text object. It's a text spline here, bold. Go to the font and make it bold, and increase the height a little bit, make it 250, and now I actually extrude it. Go to the extrude NURBS. In the caps, actually increase it a little bit, make it 30. Yep. In the caps, make it fuller cap. And now decrease the radius a little bit and increase the number of steps. Now you see kind of X, but it's not really that good looking. So let's actually increase X and increase the steps too. Okay, it's pretty good. Yeah, you get a nice rounded X that suits us the needs right now. Great. So now the difficult part is to create the material and the lighting for that. What do you say for that? X. Now to create a new material, actually instead of double clicking, let's go File, Shader, and Daniel shader. Now go ahead and apply this to this. Now if you render, all you see is a little bit glossy. It's not that glossy. It's not what we want, because there's actually nothing to reflect thing. So we'll come to that later. First of all, actually, let's create something for it to reflect. Go to a disk. We need a disk. Now increase the out radius all the way to 200 is fine, and increase the segments, rotation segments, so you get a little bit smoother disk here, and change the orientation, say to -C. Yep. Now move this a little bit. Actually, that should be fine. Okay, now for this disk, you need it to be really filled with luminance. Actually, just add luminance so that everything is just bland white. Now, you don't want this disk to be in the camera, so what we should do is actually right click on it and add a contrasting tag and select it, seen by camera, so that it's not visible when rendering. Now you don't see anything yet because we need to make a lot of tweaks to this X for let's double click on the materials, change the color, diffuse color to really black. Kind of want a purple black kind of thing. So, and decrease specular 1 intensity, say like 50%. We don't want too much. And change color to white. And decrease it to 20%, or actually make it 15. And go to specular 3 and bring it down to 25%, and change the color to white. And there you have a nice metallic look. And increase the reflection all the way to 40%. So you have really metallic stuff going on here. Okay, now let's just drag and drop this. Actually no, we already have a material there, so let's render this. It looks great, but the edges are so rough. That's because we don't anti-aliasing it, so let's change it to the best anti-aliasing setting. Now if you render, you see a really smooth X going on. Now thing here is actually to have multiple reflections. If you have only one plane or one disk here, it's gonna have only with that one, but it's not that natural yet. So what you should do is actually copy and paste it again and rotate it to 90 degrees. So in that way we have a disk, and drag it. And copy paste it again and put it here. And if you want, you can also add something on the top here, but we add it only if it doesn't look good, it doesn't look realistic. Okay, now that's great so far. Alright, now let's add a camera. And let's align it properly. Let's just go to right view and align it. And change the scene camera to camera. And change target. This actually kind of takes a little bit of time until you actually get used to, but alright, great. Now let's run this out. Looks great. If anything, we can select the first disk and move it a little bit side, and you get a really nice, gorgeous, or anything you call X. But when you start animating it, like say, actually, let's go to the timeline, and we want the X to kind of, you know, fall out, like, I don't know how it kind of rolls in from the top of the camera. So say if say this is your X, and if you change the position, say from here, and actually rotate it, see if it's actually there. Oops. Okay, now what I'm saying is actually, let's just in this viewport, if I actually change the position of the X, say from here, and rotate it a little bit like this. Now let's go back to the thing. When you render this, it kind of looks good, but it looks pretty good actually, but just to get a really cool gradient of light, of reflection, what I suggest you doing is actually add a new plane, kind of scale it up a little bit, and rotate this. Add a new material, double click on it, and now you don't want any color, and in the luminance add a texture, gradient. Click on the gradient and change it to 3D linear. You get a nice gradient, and apply this to the plane we just created. It looks good, but we want the gradient to be like this. Yeah. Now, if you see it now, it kind of gives a really nice texture to it, and we don't want this to be seen by the camera either. So let's add a contrasting tag and see like that. So let's go to this and render this. Now, if you see closely, it's really subtle, but you get a nice gradient. Let me zoom in the camera a little bit more. Now, if you render this, you see a really subtle gradient. That's really nice. That's how we create the glossy X. Now, what it did later on is actually animated the X. Go to the timeline. Initially, I made sure the X is somewhere here, you know. It's kind of like this. And after, say, 60 frames, it comes back to its normal position. Actually, let's create a keyframe, extrude NURBS, coordinates, position, and rotation. And after 60 frames, let's make the rotation 0 and add a keyframe, and let's bring this back to its normal position. Now let's add a keyframe, and now you see the X kind of comes in, you know, and stays there. Now let's actually take a quick render in various positions, and now let's render the frame here. Looks great. Now in here, it looks amazing. I really like the classy X. Now it kind of starts coming in. It comes there. It starts coming in, and when it falls, it's great. Okay, it's kind of too purple. Let's change the color back to a little bit darker. And now let's render this. It's a little bit gray. So actually, let's make it a little brighter. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, great. Now, as soon as it rolls in for a while, let's make it stay there for a while. The X, add a coordinate there, and from then let's zoom in the camera. So here we have a camera, and now go to the camera and animate its positions, and increase it to, say, 150. Now go to frame 150 and zoom in with the camera. here up close, you pretty much have a reflecting X, but we forgot the keyframe, but hold on. Add a new keyframe, just zoom in, you know, typical zoom in, and you're good to render. Now let's render and watch it. Okay, let's play it. The animation looks a little bit choppy, you know, you gotta make sure you keyframe it properly. I didn't spend much time on it because it's not that important. You can pretty much do it, you know, you can keyframe it as you want. But when here, you know, it kind of looks like the X, you know, the gradient jumps in right away. So what you can do for that is actually duplicate this plane, pitch it again, and rotate this, make it perfectly flat, and now just drag this plane to the bottom like this, so the gradient now doesn't look so obvious as if it's coming right away. Now let me preview it for. Now the gradient looks a little bit better than before, and it doesn't look as if it popped in right away. But you know, I'm not going to explain the animation. It's pretty basic. You can do pretty much you want. So that's pretty much it. Let's go jump into After Effects. Render this out in the same way like we did before. Let's jump into After Effects and let's animate this. In part 1 I forgot to mention this. Actually, when you get the output and when you make your custom height, width and all, make sure you actually have the alpha channel checked on, because we need the alpha channel to get, you know, when we import into After Effects, and for, you know, make sure you have the compositing file if you want the camera movement. But alpha channel is a must when you actually want to composite something in After Effects. I forgot to mention this in part 1. Please make a quick note. Finally, we're on After Effects, and let's do my favorite part, and it's really fun. Let's do the Apple logo that flies out in the intro of the video. It's really easy. If you're on a Mac, all you gotta do is go onto the text file, the text tool, and click on it and press Option Shift K. Make sure you're in Helvetica, because it doesn't work many times if you're using a different font, and it works always with Helvetica. So if you're on Windows, you can just auto trace the logo, Apple logo, and import it into After Effects. And it's not a big deal. And there are many ways to get this logo in vector format, using Illustrator or using a mask in After Effects. Okay, I'm not going to go into that, but just a heads up. Now let's actually make it a 3D layer. Now let's go to the position, into the keyframe, and kind of move it back a little bit. And now say after 2 seconds, just bring this all the way. That works pretty nice. Yeah, it'll work. So it kind of zooms in. Now when it comes to tricky part, now all you have to do is actually create a new light. That's okay. And make sure you right click on it and go to transform. And there is a thing called auto orient. If you don't see it, it's at the end of the transform menu. Or you can press shift, I don't know, shift command or control command or something like that. I think it's shift, yeah. And make sure you set the auto orientation off. Now it just makes things easier. Now keyframe in the first position, and wow, okay, I should do it. And at the end of, you know, 2 seconds, make sure you actually bring it back. No, not the Z, but the X. And bring back the Z a little bit. So, well, let's just move it, yeah. So as you can see, the logo kinda, you know, flashes and flashes out. That's what we actually want, and it looks great right now. So let's duplicate this layer, bring it behind, and go to its material options, and accept lights is turned to off. Now what you have to do is, if you have trap code shine, great. Otherwise any thing will actually work. Any light trace effect, or there's a light trace preset actually, which actually works great. So, you know, have a look at it. So let's increase the ray length. Actually, I think we applied this in the wrong layer. Select this and apply. Okay, now in colorize, let's change it to aura or spirit, anything, it's up to you. Actually I like aura better. And put it right there. And that's it. You get your clean. Actually, I think we need to keyframe this too. Let's click on it here. Alright, that's pretty much it, and you get a nice flashy Apple logo. Now to create the particle environment in After Effects, first of all let's import the animation we created in Cinema 4D. To do that, actually I'm gonna go to my folder. Actually, if you have a Cinema 4D, make sure you install the After Effects plugin that comes with Cinema 4D, because that's required to import the compositions produced by Cinema 4D. And to actually install the plugin, there's actually a plugin in the installation folder of Cinema 4D, and you have to take that plugin and keep that, you know, in After Effects plugin folder. Make sure you refer to the documentation before you import the After Effects composition. Now if you open this, now you have a new folder called with the composition and a source footage file, and this is called Cinema 4D composition. Let's open it, and now there you have a camera and the 2 null objects. We actually the external compositing tags we made, and we added to these objects in Cinema 4D, and a light that comes with default, and a camera. So the first object is actually at approximately 0 and -71, and the last object is at 13,000. That's a lot, but it's not that bad. uh, so all we have to do is actually first of all create a new null create a new solid, sorry. Make it concise. Okay, make sure you bring it to the back. Now if I didn't mention earlier, make sure you render the footage, render the animation with an alpha channel, because without an alpha channel you can't create you can composite it properly. Now apply particular, to this layer. Now you don't see anything yet because we have to make sure the emitter is positioned at 0, 0. And say 0 should be fine, but I prefer somewhere around say 1000. And decrease the particle size to 1. Now actually change the emitter type from point to box, and now actually the direction to outwards, and velocity random to 0, velocity from motion to 0, and direction spread to 0. And now increase the number of particles, and now increase the Z all the way, say like 4000 or something. That should be fine. And increase the emitter size in the X direction to like 1000 something, and the same way Y. Now if I actually zoom in the composition, you see a tiny little dots. That creates a good star field kind of effect. But if you actually want, you can have a nice a good high quality image in the background of star field. But you know, I kind of like it having it empty because it gives an outer space kind of effect. And if you see in the actual Leopard intro, there are many cloud-like things in the video which didn't make sense to me because it is supposed to be in the outer space. I mean, I do agree they're actually added for, you know, extra artistic impression, but still I kind of like it without those clouds. But if you want clouds, there's actually a preset in particular which creates clouds, and you can just apply them in 3D World, and you can get really pretty good results with that. Now this actually let's make it say 3000. Now let's duplicate this, and now let's increase it to actually let's change the position to 4000 or something, so that it kind of goes back to, what do you say, kind of the emitter goes back 4000 pixels in the Z space. At the same time, duplicate this again, and this time make it say 7000, and duplicate this again, and this time make it 10,000, and duplicate this last time, make it 13,000. Alright, now everything should work fine. So anywhere you go, you have a 3D environment, but at some places you quite can't get it right because you need more you know, X and Y parameters for these particles. You just have to see the position actually to get it right. So yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah. You just need to increase the dimensions if there are actually any problems. Now, let's see. Kind of has some gaps. To rectify the gaps, you can increase Z a little bit more and increase the number of particles. That's it. That's how actually you get the Starfield environment. And in the end, it kind of ends abruptly, so let's actually decrease it a little bit. And increase the Y. Yeah. And increase the Z. Actually, let's see where the camera is right now. It's at 6,000 thing, okay. And, okay, for this thing, let's make this, let's increase the Y position. Okay, there you go. Now you get the Starfield. You just have to, make sure every letter has is not, empty. You can have as many particular layers as you want, and kind of the more you have, kind of creates a cluttery. It kind of has, if it has too many particular layers, you see more stars. To avoid that, you actually can use the visibility and decrease the far vanishing stage like 3,000 or 4,000, so that it doesn't have too many stars. If you have too many, layers, has the image particles. So that's how you create the particle wool or 3D particle. Actually, you can even use, if you don't have trapcode particle, it's fine. You can use particle wool, CC particle wool to get it. All you have to do is a little bit of, anything that emits particles in Z space is fine. Create the background in the video. So I went to Flickr and I searched for Orion Nebula. That's the actual one used in the Apple Intro 2. Basically, you can use anything you want here. Make sure you search for Creative Commons, because actually a lot of them are free to use, because Orion Nebula, it can get really high resolution pictures from NASA, but we're not gonna go crazy doing with spherical maps and such stuff. We're just gonna use the basic picture we have. Let me have Orion Nebula here, a picture. Let me make a new composition with that. Now I have here the Orion Nebula. Okay, now let me resize this, just like 30%. That's too small. Let's make it 50. A little bit, yeah, like that. Let me rotate this like this. That should be fine. Let me zoom in. Actually, let's make it 75%. Anyways, so what you have to do here now is actually apply an effect called curves. It's like a basic correction. Now let's go to the blues increase the lows and the highs, increase the highs a little bit. So you get a nice pinkish blue effect here. You can leave this, it's pretty cool, but to actually add a good effect, what I suggest you doing this is actually take a mask tool, and you can get really good shapes with this, but make sure you mask this out. Actually, increase this a little bit and duplicate this layer and go to the back layer or the layer beneath, delete this mask, and go to the first layer and increase the mask feather. Okay, now go back to the source layer, and if you have no Light Factory, there's actually a plugin called Glow, Light Factory Glow, LF Glow. You can actually use that, or you can use Trapcore Shine too if you want to, but I kind of suggest using no Light Factory because it has a more natural glow appeal to it. So let me just decrease, that's too much out there, so let's just put to like 100%. So let's actually insert a keyframe here, this thing here, say 0%, and I like in nearly approximately 1 second it becomes 100%. Okay, that sounds great. And now after 1 second it actually becomes 0 again. Now let's just alt click this. Let's insert actually let's just insert a looping expression. It should be somewhere here. I always forget where the looping is. I rarely use it, so yeah, it's in property. Loop out, cycle or ping pong, anything works. Number of keyframes, let's make it 3. Alright, now it keeps on looping. That's great. Now import this composition, the Orion Nebula composition, and put it in the background. Deselect it. Now what you have to do is go back to the Orion Nebula and create a solid and put it in the background so that the composition is not it's not transparent, it's not having any alpha in the background. So if you just put a blank solid, it works great. Now create a new solid in this composition. Go back. Generally, you can apply any spherical map you want. By the way, if you don't know, if you don't have Trapcode Horizon, there's a tutorial by Carl Larson of Creative Cow. It's called making a box world or something. Please check that out if you don't have Trapcode Horizon. But right now I'm just gonna use Trapcode Horizon. Okay, here I have tracker horizon, and in the image map let me apply the nebula. Now it's all zoomed in because tracker horizon generally expects higher, super high, resolution with 2:1 ratio, but you can pretty much, you won't need such super high res pictures anyways. And it works great because we already have a three-dimensional particular world, so yeah, it looks great. You can mask out the edges for an added effect if you want to. And that's pretty much it. Now let's see how to create the glowing X and the star warp effect at the end. What I have here is the glossy X render we did in Cinema 4D. Let me create a new comp with that. You can do it in the same composition, but I like to do it in a separate composition so that it doesn't, get confused or something. I don't know. So let me add a new particular layer here. Apply particular to it. Up here. Now you can see we already got something going on here. So let me increase the Z a little bit like that, and actually yeah, that's great. So now actually change it to outwards, and I'm going to take the box and increase the X, Y, and Z. Make sure you have a great Z here going on. And increase the particle count. Okay, great. Now let's move this a little bit so that particles just won't aren't born when the composition starts. So when it comes in, the camera should move away. Move backwards. So let's actually create a new camera. And whoa, something already happened here. Anyways, let's just click on the position, and actually I think it's because of the depth of the field. Let me create a new camera again. I don't want depth of field. Okay, great. Now let's actually zoom in a lot. Say from here, and create a new keyframe there, and say until it bumps in, let's actually move back all the way. Let's say minus 4,000. Great, so that looks great. To get a more different effect, let's actually disable auto orientation, and here let's actually make it go much deeper, so it gives a more impressive effect of coming here. Okay, now as soon as it gets here, it stays there for a while and starts zooming in. So as soon as it starts zooming in, say at this point, we want to create a star field warp kind of thing. I don't know what you call it. It's pretty famous actually. You can find a lot of tutorials on how to do that, but I'll just go over it real quick. So it's actually done using motion blur. So I'll keyframe it here, and the next frame, let me turn this on and increase the change from linear to subframe sample, increase the levels to 80 something, and opacity boost to not 75, but yeah, actually 15 something is great. Now when the camera moves in, we need to move the camera too. So at this point, let's actually increase the camera to like 1,000 pixels. The Z position of the camera 1,000 pixels. So you kind of see a motion blur. Actually, let's make it to on. Sorry, it's my mistake. Let's delete this, and here let's put this to on. Not comp settings, it's on. We need to switch it on manually. So when it actually starts zooming in, you kind of get, you know, a nice motion blur effect. But we need the camera to move a little bit faster than this. So here, let's make it to 0. Now you get a really cool looking motion blur. Now let's actually change the settings a little bit more. Let's increase the levels. I don't know, madly increase the levels and increase the opacity boost. Increase the shutter phase a little bit. That's how you actually create the star field effect, and actually decrease the particle size to 1. Yep, there you go. Yeah, you get your cool star field effect. And there are a lot of tutorials on this actually. You can follow and increase the opacity boost a little bit, increase the levels, increase the shutter phase a little bit more, and from here make it to much more here, and at this point make it to say -6,000. So you get more, I mean, the more the camera movement is, the more the effect's gonna look nice here. So that's how we do the star field effect. Actually, it's a lot of cons, but it's the whole effect is pretty basic. I'm just gonna explain the concept in After Effects, because everything in After Effects you can get it pretty easily. It's all the basic steps, not a big deal, but all the steps in Cinema 4D, especially the spline part, they're kind of hard to do. That's pretty much what I did with the Leopard X here, and when you join everything you get the leopard effect. It's not a big deal, and that's it. And I added some lens flares just to get some bling, and that's what I did, and it's not complicated at all. And if you guys have any comments, or if you think it's kind of fast at the end or something, you know, well, the reason why it's kind of, I didn't go in detail at the end because it's pretty basic. I mean, there's nothing to do with the camera. It's from Cinema 4D. All you gotta do is make sure the background looks good, add more elements to the background. You can add some clouds or anything, you know, you want. So that's pretty much it, and have a great day. Thanks for listening. And this is AE Tits this is Satya Meka for AE Tits, and good luck.